All right, Facebook family, you know what time it is, 9 o'clock on the dot. We start Pajama Praise on time. It is 9 o'clock Monday night, October the 18th, 2021. And man, we are here, man. This superstar is in he's here, he's in the studio.
No,
Mr. Jermaine Marshall. Oh man, he's a superstar, man.
I would say that.
Everybody, everybody loves Jermaine. You would have thought I said I was gonna have Jermaine Jackson on tonight. But listen, man, Jermaine is here. We're excited about having him here, man. Jermaine has been on my radar a long time. And so what I did last year, I actually had put together a list of people, about 52 people that I was going to have on for the year, to cover the year. And man, I shifted everything to a flash drive, and man, the flash drive crashed and I lost
What?
this. But man, listen, you were still on my mind, man, and here we are tonight, man, to hear your story, man. We've got people on with us tonight, so many. I can't see everybody there, but I know you're there, man. And we want to welcome you tonight for Pajama Praise, for a night of inspiration, for a night of testimony. I see you there, Catrice Reed, my greatest supporter. She said that she's my greatest supporter. She has an incredible ministry. She has a mentoring ministry and an outreach ministry. She's doing an incredible job in our schools with our young people, and then she's doing incredible things in the community, helping people. Mr. James Rice, I see you there with the after school program, Fort Worth ISD. Sister Shirlene Hamilton, another supporter. Thank you so much, Shirlene, for supporting us. Sister Kimberly Hunt, our media ministry leader at Bethany. Thank you, Kimberly, for all you do to keep us alive and keep the word going out for Bethany. Sister Bertha Johnson for Rising Star Baptist Church, one of my former choir members. Thank you so much for your support each week. Sister Patrice Williams, I see you there. Sister Naomi Hill, one of my favorite choir members from Bethany Missionary Baptist Church. Brother Albert Joe Reed, man, all the way from Killeen. And so, Jermaine, man, we just have a great host of people. My classmate, Sister Jackie Foster Kelton. Listen, man, we're going to get into a word of prayer, and we got to get into this interview because, man, all right, there he is, Pastor Floyd Brooks. There he is, Jermaine. There he is.
Hey, my aunt.
That's right, man. Incredible pastor, a longtime friend of mine, doing an incredible job, not only in Como, but throughout this city. But listen, man, we're going to have a word of prayer. Jermaine, will you give us our prayer tonight?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's bow. Father God, we come to you tonight just telling you thank you. We thank you for this opportunity to share. We lift you up. We give you all the glory and the praise, for you are worthy of it all. And as we enter into this dialogue tonight, God, we ask that you guide our words and just allow us to have great fellowship. And at the end of the day, our total desire is that you be glorified and that your people be edified. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
All right, all right. Now are you an elder, Jermaine?
No, sir.
Because I felt a little oil dripping there.
Look out now. Look out now.
There's some oil dripping there. Okay.
I say I just say I come from good stock. How about that?
All right, all right. Well, listen, man, we're excited to have you tonight, man. Man, I've known you a long time. You've just been an incredible guy, not only a musician, man, but you know what, man, I respect people first. I mean, you're a person first, you're a musician second, man. I watched you over the years and seen how you've allowed the Lord to work through you to minister to people. And so you're here tonight to share your story with us. So Jermaine, tell us where you were born.
Well, Hey, brother Glenn, before I even start there, man, just allow me an opportunity to salute you, man, for what you're doing with Pajama Praise. I know we've talked off camera about when this began, when you were in your pajamas, late at night, towards towards the beginning of when the pandemic started, man. And I think you just logged on just to play and hymns and church songs and all that kind of stuff, man. At the end of the day, man, it was good for the people,
Mm-hmm.
going through that time of isolation and things, man. And so at that moment in time, man, it was just good to be connected, even through technology, and just to spread, just to encourage people, man, and to
Mm-hmm.
lift up spirits, man. So I know it's what you said when you started this, you was only just for one night, right?
Night, man.
So and then to see what it's blossomed into, man, we've been able to learn a whole lot about a lot of our pioneers here in the city of Fort Worth, man. So I just had to get that out before we even began, man, just to salute you for this endeavor. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
to God be
So
the glory, bro.
yes, yes, sir. But yeah, man, I was born right here in Fort Worth, Texas, man. Fort Worth, Texas, in Harris Hospital,
Okay, okay.
41 years old, born to James Marshall III and Jennifer Marshall. Of course, maiden name is Brooks. And so
Okay,
my dad and mom are Comoites.
okay,
Dad, they both graduated from Como High School. Dad, class of 65, and
okay.
mom, class of 67.
So
So
Pastor Floyd Brooks is your mother's brother.
that's correct. That's
Oh,
correct.
okay, okay. Yeah, that is your uncle.
Yeah, that's my uncle
So,
for real.
I thought, I saw a picture of your dad, and I thought it was brother Kim, from Pleasant Mount Gilead. I said, I didn't know Kim was your dad.
Yeah, so my dad, James Marshall, they're brothers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's the Marshall connection, and then the Brooks connection is through my mom. So
Right.
yeah, I was born. I grew up in Forest Hill, where I live, and but spent a lot of time in Como, of course, because we had family connections, and then that's
I
why.
went to high school.
So I went to high school, Dunbar High School. Now calm down. Calm.
Well, wait
I,
a minute.
I'm a proud Wildcat. Now, I'm sure your next question is, how did you go to Dunbar and you lived in Forest Hill?
As far as that's where I was going with that.
So I was in the magnet program.
Yeah.
At the
Okay.
time, it was Dunbar HSCP, which is the High School for Science and Engineering Professions.
Right, right.
So that's how I was able to go to Dunbar. So of course I'm married to a chaparral, and of
All
course my
right.
sister
There you
went
go.
to White and all that good stuff. But
There you
I
go.
knew I knew the real deal. I knew where I needed to be.
All right. Yeah. Well, we proud of Wyatt. We proud of Wyatt. So when did you go to elementary school?
So I went to David K. Sellers, man, for
Really?
kindergarten and first grade, and
Okay.
then I switched over, went to Morningside, second through fifth grade. My parents put me in the magnet program over at Morningside, so I'm around as well. And then from Morningside after fifth grade, I went to Dunbar Middle School. So I was in the magnet program there as well. So I was at the actual, where Martin, I think J. Martin JK, you know.
Yes. Okay.
So the sixth grade magnet program was there, and then I was there six to eight. And one of the reasons why I went there is because at the time their program specialized in math, science, and communications in middle school.
Right.
So me being a math head, that was just a perfect fit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, went to middle school there, and then transitioned to right
Over to
down the street on
yeah.
Raymond Avenue.
Yeah. Okay. And so tell us what were you doing at Dunbar other than being a math genius?
Well, I played basketball, man. Actually, so I played. Now, I wasn't a starter. I was decent. I played my freshman through junior year. So I
Okay.
didn't play my senior year. Of course, we'll get into that because I really started focusing on music as I was learning how to play a couple different instruments and things like that. So that's when music kind of actually started in middle school, but really kind of I really started taking hold to it, man, around my junior, senior year, so to speak.
Mhm. Okay. So were you in the choir or a band at Dunbar?
So in middle school, I was actually in, of course, didn't have a marching band, but I was in band. And so
Okay.
I played the snare drum, and our band director was Mr. Brian Stanridge. And
Okay.
actually, I listened in. I think Brother Minister Fred Willis is my boy, and I think he also taught Fred. I think at William James at one point in time. But I played the snare drum there because that was my first instrument was the drums. You
Okay.
know, so, but in high school, I didn't play. I didn't play in the band because I was playing basketball my first few years. But
Okay.
I started, of course, on the trap set with the drums. So yeah, that's kind of how that went.
So you play with Coach Hughes?
Yes, sir. Freshman ball, and then JV under Coach Rambo.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so hey, when you 5'5", 5'6" like myself, man, you ain't got no height. You got to be able to run, and you got to have a little something extra. So like I was good, but when all that, I ain't gonna talk myself up like that.
Oh, wow. 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 And so you grew up um, in Forest Hill, but so where did the music come from? Where did the music come from?
So growing up, man, at church. So my cousin, which I believe you also know him, was one of my inspirations, man, Nolan Brooks.
Yeah,
Uh,
Nolan.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, I grew up in at Greater Rising Star Missionary Baptist Church. That's where I
Mhm.
was born into, man. I'm missionary Baptist,
All right.
to the core. Those definitely my roots. And so when before where the church is currently located now,
Hmm.
me growing up, the church was around the corner on Chariot Drive. I believe that church now is a new creation. I think they're occupying that building now,
Okay.
5400 Chariot Drive. And when I was growing up, of course, there was no drums at the church.
Okay.
We didn't have an organ. We had an organ, but it wasn't like a B3.
Right.
But nobody, I don't believe anybody was playing at the time. And so we had a pianist at our church, late Sister Cupid Williams. So
Yeah,
she
I know
played,
Sister Cupid. Yeah.
yeah, and she did. She was I guess as my mom would call it, beauty operator, or
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stylist now. But she played there, as I was growing up, and so my cousin Nolan, man, we didn't really come from a musically inclined family as it relates to instruments.
Mhm.
Some of my family members would sing, but
Right.
not as far as musical instruments. So Nolan, man, he just picked up the keyboard, and I think he was at the church, man, kind of sitting in the corner, tinkling around on the keys, man.
Mhm.
And he approached me about learning how to play the drums, and
Uh-huh.
so I don't know. I would always say for me, I
Mhm.
believe music has always been in me, but as it
Right.
relates to instruments and musicianship, was around 11 years old. But I
Okay.
remember growing up and listening to music. I was always in tune to melodies,
Mhm.
bass lines. I probably couldn't tell you what the song said, but I could
Right.
repeat, those lines. And
Right. Right.
so coming up, man, got a drum set, a little small drum set for Christmas, and kind of play around on that. And so Nolan had the idea, and we asked the church maybe I could start playing on the third Sundays because I did start singing in our youth choir,
Mhm.
before all of that, and that was during a time where you know how it is today. Back then, you didn't have a choice. You're gonna be active and doing something. You're
Uh-huh.
gonna sing. You're gonna usher.
Yeah.
You're gonna be doing something. So we had a youth choir at the time, and he just I started to learn how to play, and
Mhm.
so it started out with me just playing the drums just on third Sundays when the youth choir would sing. I didn't play every Sunday, right?
Okay.
And then it kind of migrates like, okay, man, let's have you start playing, every Sunday. So that
Mhm.
was at the age of 11.
Uh,
So I played drums, and then at the age of about 15 is when I had my first hand at playing the keyboard piano. The first song I ever learned, and
yeah.
I didn't know what a C was or F. I didn't know what a major minor chord was. The, the
Right.
the first song I learned was "God Has Smiled on Me" in the key of F.
All right.
And
All right.
I remember Nolan just showing me these are the chords, and it was just by memory.
Uh,
And man, from there, like, okay, I'm liking this. So, over time, just starting to learn things by ear because, of course, I didn't know any theory. I didn't know, anything about, what a chord was and all that. I'm just piecing things together based off of what I'm hearing, you
yeah.
know. And so, an interesting thing is my parents, my mom had no clue that I could actually play keyboard
Okay.
until I played a song at church uh, for a musical that we had,
All right.
and that song was uh, Kirk Franklin's "Wash My Sins Away,"
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
and so I remember her. I think she talked to my cousin like, I didn't know he could play because what I would do is I would go home and had a little keyboard and I would put on my headphones because
Okay.
I didn't want anybody hearing me while I'm learning and picking out things.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
nobody really heard me, and then I would get with Nolan and just start playing, and
Right.
that's how we did. And so I think it was a musical. She can
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a musical. Like I didn't even know he could, he could play, and so
Right.
that's how it started.
Well, so Veronica Fulton said that you were an excellent drummer and you played for her youth choir. Yeah. Wow.
Man, I was going to talk about her at some point in time. Like, it was a great segue. man,
Uh-huh.
this Veronica Fulton gave us an opportunity at a time where when Nolan and I think this maybe have been before I started playing. So we played, of course, at our church at Greater Rising Star. And then I remember, and this was around my senior year.
Mhm.
Um, so Nolan would call me and say, "Hey man, uh, Pleasant Mount Gilead, they wants to come help them out with their musical," and that's where my uncle Kim was worshiping,
Right.
and okay, cool, and that was at a time when Brother Roosevelt Thompson,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, Lady Carolyn Ingram was playing
Yeah.
at that time.
Wonderful
Yeah,
musician and singer. Yeah.
yeah, so we would help them out, and then we got a call to go. I think we played at Mount Moriah Baptist Church, Pastor Campbell,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, uh, Zion, and of course First Grade of New Hope, where Miss Fulton was, and she would have us come over and help out with the musicals. As I was younger, it started out, of course, I'm playing the drums, and later on she had me come and play the keyboard. So I'm so grateful to her, for giving us those opportunities, at a younger age, because man, without those opportunities, we don't have an opportunity to learn and
Right.
to get that, experience. So yeah, she's phenomenal. She's phenomenal.
So man, I met your cousin Nolan when he was in high school at Western Hills. Mackie Spratley was his choir teacher, and I would go out and play for the choir with Mackie. And
Yeah.
Nolan was in her choir, and I think he had started playing. Man, it's just amazing how time will bring about a change, man. And so Nolan influenced you. So let me ask you this, Jermaine. So now, do you see the connection between music and math? That
Oh,
music, is made up of patterns. You play patterns, and
it's definitely a correlation, especially when you talk about patterns and circle of fourths and fifths,
uh,
and even how to build and expand chords when you're playing. There's definitely mathematical a connection. And most of us math nerds, man, we can be so over analytical, you know, at times, always trying to figure out why this is this and why this is that.
Right.
But it helps. You know, not every musician is, you know, mathematically inclined. They may be inclined to something else, but it's definitely a connection, you know.
Well, and so Nolan was one of your early influences. Who were some other musicians you listened to as you were coming along?
Well, you know, coming up, I listened to so much music as I was trying to learn. A lot of times I had no idea who I was even listening to,
Mm-hmm.
because of course the times were different. As now, you know, if you listen to something, you can say, "Hey, Google or Siri, who's the musician on this record?" You know, you have access to information. Where when I was learning, you just kind of listened and you did your research. Hey, you asked like, "Who is this?" and you know, "Who is that?" But I will say early on, man, especially the music that I was tied to coming up. Of course, Walter Hawkins and Milton Brunson. As far as the music is, what I really, you know, took a hold to some of those classics. But of course, growing up as far as musically, especially in the gospel music industry, Percy Beatty, Kevin Bond, those are big influences for me as far as, you know, the style and just I'm like, man, what is that? What are they doing? You know, and it was just the things I would hear would be so tasteful, man, and even now, of course, we all love Corey Henry. He's one of the top, you know, musicians around now. Also, my brother Cornell Gaskin, man, who is just
Phenomenal. I heard,
absolutely.
man, I sat in with him a little bit Friday, and man, the guy's just phenomenal, man, just phenomenal.
Man, he's phenomenal, and what's even better about him outside his skill, man, he's one of the most humble human beings I've ever come into contact with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's just very down to earth. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can meet some that are not that, but has a awesome spirit about himself, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing I absolutely love about Cornell, man.
Sure.
But yeah, to me, one of the top, you know, keyboard players around. But I will say, man, my main two, and I definitely want to mention others like Joe Harley out of New York, Travis Sale, some of the other musicians on the coast. But one of my main um, influences to this day is two, and one in, you know, in the church, and they also play in the secular realm. But Rodney East
Okay.
is, man, I have such a connection with his mute when I hear just how he plays so tastefully. Another one who's of course playing on the top level. I believe right now he's playing for does a lot of work with Yolanda Adams. Uh, but he also is playing with the Isaac brothers. He's playing.
Okay.
I think he played for R. Kelly for a stint, man. And but just listen to him, man. And right now his brand, I believe, is him and I, Hymn and I, and he just has some awesome music out, man. That I would say it's probably one of my top, you know, influences now, man, as far as playing. He's just phenomenal, but his spirit is, you know, we've actually we're good friends. Well, we're friends on Instagram, but we share some things back and forth, man, and he communicates back to me and things of that nature, man. So I have to definitely shout him out, man. One of the greats.
And I think I may have already asked you this, but I'm going to ask you again. So, when you were in high school, did you play? Did you play on a talent show, or did y'all have a group, or did you play for a choir, or anything like that?
Man, you know, because that was when I was really developing. So earlier on, you know, I was, you know, ninth, 10th grade, I wasn't really playing, you know what I'm saying? I actually took it was called, I think it's digital music. It was a music keyboarding class
Okay.
under Marguerite McDonald,
Okay.
who was a choir teacher, you know, at Dunbar at the time. And I kind of learned some things in that class. And so as I was learning to play during that time, I did play the class song,
Okay.
on piano. So she afforded me that opportunity.
All
At the
right.
same time as I was learning, so I never played for the choir. Now I have come back occasionally over the years. It's been a while, and the choir. I can't remember the last time that was. Man, that was it's been some time. Um, but I actually had my boys to this day, man. They had a singing group, man, and they did like a lot of R&B tunes, and they later on while we were in high school, they were recording. So I was like their producer at the
Okay.
time, man. My good friend of my Thomas Mayfield, man. You probably know him in the school district. But he was writing songs, and they had a singing group back in high school, and so I got, I got some experience just playing with them and learning about music production and all of that. So
Yeah, listen, your sister Jamie is on with us
yeah,
tonight. She says she loves her brother.
yeah. I thought she was about to call out one of my nicknames or something.
Wow. And so when you left Dunbar, is that when you went to Kansas?
Yes,
Uh,
sir. So graduated from Dunbar in 1998, and then I went off to school at the University of Kansas.
okay. Um,
Yeah.
so tell us about your experience at the University of Kansas.
So I'm sure one might even ask, man, how did you end up at the University of Kansas?
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Yep. One of my math instructors at Dunbar, man, Dr. Charles Reed, I was talking to him. And so, of course, I was a math head. So I took,
Your sister called you babyface.
that's one. As a matter of fact, anytime that I go back to my home church,
Uh,
most people there call me babyface.
okay.
I got that, growing up, you look like Babyface, and
I
so
see the resemblance.
yeah, so, but to this day, that's what I answer to, Babyface or Face. So, yeah, interesting tidbit. But yeah, I was having a conversation about him because I was when I was considering where to go off to college, man, I did want to go away from home, but I didn't want to go too far away from home. So, and I was looking for just a great experience and a great program. So he mentioned KU. Said, man, it's not too far. I mean, there's something, you do have to plan before you want to drive home in a day or something like that. But I think he knew one of the professors up there, and he gave me a few schools to consider. So I applied to quite a few schools. KU was like the first school that they accepted me, and so I just took his word and just decided to go there. I hadn't even visited there, right? Now, of course, I love basketball, so that's a basketball school. And I was like, man, this would be a good experience. But I had never even visited prior to deciding to go. First school accepted me. I took his word for it and just decided to go. So the first time I actually stepped foot on campus was for orientation, which was in the June of after
So,
right after I graduated.
Jermaine, is Kansas State in Manhattan, Kansas?
Yes, K State is in Manhattan and KU is in Lawrence. It's about an hour and a half, drive with for some people probably about an hour. But but yeah, it's in Manhattan.
Were you there when Bernard Johnson came there and did a concert?
I don't remember.
Okay, okay.
Was it K State?
Well, he went to Manhattan, Kansas.
Okay. Yeah, so I was in Lawrence.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I stepped foot on campus, for orientation. And I was like, man, this is really nice. But when I went back for the first week, of course it was like, man, I never forget. Parents took me up there, got me squared away. They spent the night, and then the next morning, They came back. Hey, you got everything you need? Like, I think I'm good. Like, all right, we out. So I watched them drive down the hill, and I was like, man, I'm up here by myself. I don't know anybody. And I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, and I'm sure there's probably some people watching right now that know me all my life. Man, I was still am, but I was shy. I didn't really say a whole lot, growing up. So here I am in the middle of, in the heart of America, not really knowing anybody. It's a foreign land. So I never forget, I took off walking. I was at the top of the hill, Daisy Hill, if any of my Kansas classmates on, they know what I'm talking about. In McCollum Hall at the Max. So I take off down the hill, I'm just walking, and I found our Black Student Union, right? And they were having like a barbecue social and all that. So I kind of just walked down there, man, and introduced myself to a couple of people, and I'm so grateful for that experience at
Mhm.
AKU. It's one of the best things that could have ever happened for and to me because it just opened me up. Like now, like dude, you got to say something. You got, otherwise you're gonna be up here on this island and you're begging to come home and all of that. But that experience, man, meeting people for the first time, learning how to look people in the eye and all that kind of stuff. It's been taught, but it's different when you have to apply that. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So started meeting people, man, got invited to this function and just started, man, it just kind of opened the door as it relates to like, social skills and things like that, man, which, you step foot on the college campus or anywhere like that, man, it's just really good for social development and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. But so when I got there, of course, man, I'm, learning how to play. I've been playing keys for maybe a couple of years or something like that. And found out about the gospel choir on
Okay.
campus.
Okay.
So, man, I went to the rehearsal. The gospel choir is Inspirational Gospel Voices, IGVL, choir on campus. Man, I went to the rehearsal. I learned that they hadn't had a musician probably in a couple of years. And
Okay.
so, man, they, found out that I played.
You
Like,
know
okay,
all she wrote, huh?
hey, listen, I never forget, man. I'm in Murphy Hall. We're in Murphy Hall at the rehearsal hall. I sit down at the piano. I played three chords. I got a standing ovation. I was like, "What? I didn't do anything. I didn't think I did, man." And so from there, met the director at the time, my frat brother Terrell McTire. He was a choir director at the time, and man, from there it just kind of it blossomed. Like, man, we've been looking for a musician, and all the time I'm thinking, like, man, I don't, mind you, I came up, I didn't know anybody. This was foreign territory to me. And so now here it is. Now I'm opening up socially, and
Yeah.
now I get to the choir. They hadn't had a musician. Man, what kind? That's a perfect fit.
Right.
So now I'm now the musician for our gospel choir, on campus, and so we were rehearsing every Thursday, and so we sang at events on campus. We even did live recording
Oh,
during my time there, and we would sing at different churches in Lawrence for man all kind of programs.
so now did
Diff-
you play at a church while you were there?
I did not. I did not play it at that time, and one reason why is because our choir we went to a lot of different churches throughout the course of the year, and
Okay.
we minister on Sunday mornings in a lot of different churches. So to a certain degree, that was kind of like my, I would say my church as related to playing wise.
Right.
And there were two churches most of us all went to in NKU, Ninth Street Baptist Church, and then Victory Bible Church. But yeah,
Okay.
we were moving so much, and ministering at different churches on Sunday mornings. We were always kind of going back and forth, man. So, but yeah, man, that whole experience with that choir was just it was amazing, man, and it afforded me it really opened me up because like I grew up missionary Baptist. That was pretty much all I knew, man. We old 100s, Sunday mornings, and that's my core. I had never really stepped foot inside of a Kojic church,
Mhm.
uh, Pentecostal. I had never stepped foot really anywhere um, outside of Baptist. So
Right.
we were stepping foot in different denominationals, and I just saw uh, different expressions of worship and praise. And I was like, man, this is something else. I had never experienced that before. It afforded me the opportunity to connect with people like Bishop Cortez Vaughn, who's the co-writer of "You Deserve It"
Okay.
with J.J. Harrison. Of course, he's
Mhm.
Kansas City at the time. Matter of fact, he's back. I think he moved to Florida, but he's back in
Okay.
Kansas City now. And man, we were going to workshops. Man, I remember James Hall put on a workshop.
Oh, wow.
Um, oh yeah, man. And at that time, I remember I think Dwayne Woods was up in the Kansas City area. Of course, Crystal Rucker. All of these, we were kind of going to the concerts and things like that. I was like, man, this is something else. So
Wow.
it really, afforded me just an opportunity just to experience a whole lot more that I had never experienced
So, man, let
before.
me ask you this: how did you ever get used to driving that route from here to Kansas? When I drove to Kansas City back in 2019, I almost lost my mind. I said, I ain't gonna never do this again, man. Because once you pass Oklahoma City, all you see are wheat fields.
That's all you're gonna see. That's all you're
Right.
gonna. Hey, I say this: as with anything, being human, as with
Mhm.
anything, if you do it so many amount of times, you end up getting used to it. And
Wow.
yeah, at first, man, my first time making that drive, man, I was like, man, if I just had music going the entire time. And that was when I think we had on our cell phones at that
Okay.
time. 'Cause I remember my parents, they bought me a cell phone that was only good for the Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas region.
Oh,
You
well.
know, you make calls outside that region, you don't want to do that. you know. So I was able to call my friends. If I travel like on a holiday, I'm on the phone the whole time. Had music playing. But yeah, it's pretty tough. Now the speed limit has increased,
Okay. Okay.
so
Okay.
you can that cut a little time off depending on how fast you drive. But but yeah, man, when you hit that turnpike, you know, it's
So
open season.
how far is Lawrence from Topeka, Kansas?
About 20 minute drive.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, I'm a mad person. Like, why do we talk in distance? We talk in distance. We talk time. We don't say 20 miles. That's about a 30-minute drive. But yeah, so about a 20-minute drive.
And so you got there, you hooked up with the gospel choir, y'all were moving and grooving, recording, and all of that. And so you were there 4 years, right?
That's correct.
Okay, okay. And so did other musicians come while you were there?
Of course, first started, it was just myself. By
Hmm.
the time I left 4 years later, man, we had a whole band. We
Okay,
had a drummer. Matter of fact, we had two drummers, bass player. We had a lead player occasionally, and we had a horn section.
okay. Wow, wow.
We had a horn section. So to see that growth, man, over that 4 years, man, that just blessed me, and it kind of like I said, got my feet wet as far as becoming a music director.
Okay, okay.
So that was a great train. That was a great training ground.
Now, did you take any music classes at Kansas State?
I took three music courses. So of
Okay,
course I was a math major.
okay,
I took a music theory course, and then
okay,
I took two jazz improv
okay,
courses.
okay,
The interesting thing about the jazz improv courses, the actual was it the dean, the band director of the school? Oh man, band director of the school taught the class, He showed up twice the entire semester.
What?
Twice. The next time I took jazz improv, that guy showed up 4 times.
Oh wow, wow.
Now I will say, the time that they did show up, I learned something that stuck with me to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fortunate, but that was easy credits.
Okay.
Then I'm like, hey, it's an easy class. I'm getting credit for it now. It was like maybe 8 or 9 of us in the class. We would show up. Uh, the first time he didn't show, like, okay. The second time, we gonna keep coming, man. Third and fourth, we all stopped coming because he wasn't coming. I guess it was like it was an elective type class or whatever. So we
Mm-hmm.
all got A's.
Oh wow.
Now thinking back on it, I'm like, man, I wish, he'd been there. Who knows what kind of knowledge he could have been able to drop on or whatever. But I did take a music theory course.
Okay.
But let me take that back. I started the course,
Okay.
but I dropped it, so I didn't finish it.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
the
why did you
reason
drop?
I was in, I forgot what course I was in, that I didn't need or something when I first started. So I got out and I had to find another class to fill it up.
Okay.
Interesting. It's a true story. Uh, so I got into music theory. I was like, man, I would love to learn music theory. Well, I got in there, man, and the first, I think I missed the first course, it was the introduction, all that. But I'm in there with band students that have been taking theory, right? So, man, I got a quiz, like the second, the next day. Man, I think everybody passed the 2 people. Man, that stuff was foreign. I had never seen it. So I'm like, man, I'm behind the 8 ball. If I have time to find me another class, I'm going to find another class to take. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to make it in here because I don't have the music background. This is for, band students and those who have a musical background, like, with theory and all that. So a buddy of mine told me, hey, they got this psychology class study personality. He said, hey, but here's the deal. In Westco Hall, man, it's like seat 300. There's a piano at the front, the bottom. So it's stadium seating, and there's a piano at the bottom. He's offering extra credit to anybody that can come in here and play the piano before class. Well, and I can get credit for it. This is the class for me.
Wow.
So I got in that class. I think I only missed like 2 courses. That third class, that was when I got there. Man, I went down to that piano. I started playing before class. I think I did that maybe two or 3 times, before, and at the time, then I would come out, I was like, I'm not going to play anymore. They started asking me to come down to play. Oh, okay, fine. Got an A in the class and learned about personality.
So what was the rationale behind playing music before the class?
Before, what do you mean?
You said that they asked you to come and play before there was a psychology class?
Yeah. It just so happened that there was a piano. So this wasn't, of course, it wasn't a music class. There just happened to be a piano in the setting, Right. So the professor was like, "Hey, I'll give anybody extra credit if you would come down here to the front and play piano before class starts."
Like piano music or something?
Yeah, I don't even know. I have no idea. He just offered extra credit. Hey, if anybody can play this piano, and he was a joking, type guy. Hey, man, and I needed a class that I had to fill up my semester with because I dropped the theory course. So I needed a class to fill it up. And I heard about this class. I'm like, well, and it counts. I can use the credits. And let me get in here, man, and do this extra credit. and develop a good relationship with my instructor.
So let me ask you this, Jermaine. We got some fraternity brothers on here. What fraternity did you pledge?
Oh, I pledged Alpha Phi Alpha.
Okay, so Donald Wright must be an Alpha, and Albert
Yes.
Joe Reed must be an Alpha.
Yes. My brother Donald Wright, man. Hey, I met. I know you had him on. Maybe was it a few months ago.
Yeah, it was about a year. He rode up in here with a some Saints gear on, man.
Hey, interesting story about Don. I met him actually when I came home from college, and I think he was at St. John Pasadena Davis Church at the time,
Right, right.
and that's when I met him. And I can't remember if I played there or something, but man, we connected. Found we were frat brothers as well as Dr. Clark Joseph, and man, he was doing a recording, and he's looking for musicians, man. So we met, and I don't even honestly think we had, and he can chime in on this. I don't think we even had a rehearsal before we went in to record.
What?
And he actually met the organist that played on that project. He met at a guitar center.
Okay, okay,
Brought him in. We all came in, and we're all still good friends to this day. My brother McCall Hogan.
okay.
Man, we came in. I think we rehearsed before the session, and we recorded 5 songs. I think we were at Audio Dallas. We recorded 5 songs,
I
and
was
yeah, man. So I never forget that with Pastor Wright.
Reverend Dr. Don Wright.
Hey,
Now,
yes, sir. Hey, and he introduced me to Wingfield Burgers in Dallas.
okay. Now, where's Wingfield's at?
Oh, come on now, so Wingfield in Dallas. So from Fort Worth, you take 20 to 67, where 67 and 35 come together. Man, you exit Illinois, make it right on, and then make it right on Beckley. That's a shame. I done told you in the direction that smooth. Hey, you gotta try it out.
Okay, okay. So they're better than Rudy's chicken, huh?
Oh, I never had Rudy's.
Rudy's is good. They look greasy, but they good, man.
I've heard.
Ooh, they are good. They put that chicken on them French fries and that
Come on.
toast, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to try. I've heard of them. I'm gonna try them out, man.
Yeah.
So then you got up to Kansas University.
Yes, sir.
Got established, and you pledged there.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and then you graduated and came on back to Fort Worth.
Yes,
And
sir.
so, what did you land at your church job after you got back here?
Well, when I came back and I went back home, I went back home, man, and I felt it was time for me to make a transition, and I wanted to make sure that where I transitioned to was a place not, and for me it's not just about the music, because I grew up in church and over time developed a personal relationship with the Lord. So for me, man, I wanted to make sure, uh, feeling that transition, that I ended up in a place where I can grow, not just as a musician, man, but as a person, where I can be taught the Word of God in a sound way, with sound doctrine that would, propel my growth in the Lord, and mentally, spiritually, and all those types of things. So I actually met uh, Pastor Nero Foster at a musical. Um, did I meet him at a musical? Yeah, I did. I did actually meet him at a musical. We played together, and then we connected. And at the time, where he was at ITOP, they were looking for an organist, a keyboardist. And so, man, we connected. He invited me over to play at a musical. And man, I was like, man, I'm loving this. And so at that time, I had gotten actually, calls, man. People were like, hey, man, and this is just in general conversation. And we need another keyboard player, or man, we'd like to have you over and all of this, man. And man, you come over here and make this and make that. And for, like I say, for me personally, it wasn't about, where I can go make the most money or all that. I'm looking for more for my personal, situation. And so, man, when I went over to ITOP, man, my first night over there was at the Bible study. And man, when I heard Bishop teach, when I heard him, I was like, yo, this is why I need to be. So, and man, I've been at Inspiring Temple of Praise Church, serving under Bishop Reginald Jordan since 2003 to where I'm currently. That's where I am today. So for the last 18 years, man, I have planted there, and it has really, served a great purpose in my life, man, just for growth coming there when I was at the age of 23 to 41 now.
Okay.
So, and you and I talk, about transition and certain things that we've seen, man, over time. But man, it's been great for me, man.
Right. Man, that's all right, man. And so you went in just as a musician, and now you're over the music department. And
So I'm just the MD over the band.
mhm,
And so we have, well, of course, before the pandemic, man, we've had, multiple choirs. So we had, youth choir, small kids up to like age 12. We had a teenage choir. We had an adult
mhm,
choir, the men's chorus. And so we had directors who were actually over the choirs. So even as of right now, actually Bishop, I would say, is serving as our minister of music at the
mhm.
moment. And so, yeah, my responsibility is making sure that our band is on point, man. And so I'm, I guess, technically, music director, so to speak.
Okay, okay. And so, man, you keep things moving there. You keep the music together, per se. Yeah. Okay.
Listen, I do my very best. And one thing I love too about the mission, man, we do, of course, with Bishop under Bishop Jordan, man, and like I say, growing up, I didn't, I never, we didn't fellowship, and neither did I go to, like Pilgrim Valley and a lot of the church Mount Olive. I didn't really know a lot. Like I remember Bishop had his choir, well, Fort Worth Inspirational Choir, which I didn't know anything about. So um, um, so yeah, so coming up, and coming over there, I learned he had a very high standard when it comes to music. You know, excellence, gotta have it. So he being a musician himself, playing organ, piano, trumpet, being musically inclined, man. I tell you, when you're first coming over there, it's something else when you serve under a pastor who's musically inclined. Because
Right.
if something ain't sounding right, you gonna know. You know,
Right. Let me ask
there's
you
a
this:
note.
which instrument do you prefer, piano or I mean, keyboard or organ?
I would say I'm more of a keyboardist.
Mm-hmm.
Organ, even now I play. I
Mm-hmm.
would not call myself an organist per se. And I'm talking about, somebody that really embodies that instrument. You know what I'm saying? Now somebody else would tell me, they would hear me play and say, "Nah, bro, you're an organist."
Mm-hmm.
But I remember even growing up in the church I grew up in. We didn't have uh, an organ like a B3 until our church moved to the location that they are in right now, 5513 Cumbo Drive. And I think we got a B3, I think, right.
You know what?
Uh,
I need to ask you something. I hate to interrupt you. I asked you a question and I interrupted you. But so several years ago, y'all had a funeral at your church, and Richard Smallwood came to your church to Greater Rising Star. One of the members of his group was evidently a member of Greater Rising Star. Do you remember that?
when was it?
It was several years ago. And Pastor Brooks, if he's still on, he probably knows what I'm talking about. But the Richard Smallwood and his choir, Vision, came to Greater Rising Star for a funeral service.
Wow. Now I may not have been there at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but listening to you talk about it, I kind of faintly remember hearing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I may not have been there at that time.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man. But you're an incredible musician, so you can't tell. Sis, Pastor Brooks said it was Sister Joanna Johnson. Do you remember her?
I can't put a face to a name.
Yeah, but Richard Smallwood and his choir came to Greater Rising Star.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure that was all. I'm sure that was amazing.
and so, man, since you've been at iTop, man, you just blossomed, man, and just started playing all over the city and all over the country and everything. I mean, you're well established, man. Everybody knows Jermaine, like they know Jermaine Jackson,
Listen, I I am truly humbled and honored to hear that because, like I said, growing up, I wouldn't consider myself to have like been on the scene
Mhm.
per se. And the interesting thing is, man, when I came back home from college, there were like people like who is this guy? Because I didn't really grow up playing in the city, like that. Because I really developed, um, when I went off, to school. So I came back. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm from right here,
Right.
So, but man, I'm honored to hear that, man. Honored and humbled to hear that, if that's what the people are saying. But yeah, yeah, it's amazing to me,
So
man. So
you
yeah,
told me a story that you played in one of the musicals that I played at Pleasant Mount Gilead, and see, I didn't even remember that.
yeah. Years, man. We Nolan and I played. I think we may have done maybe two or three musicals there. I think was it in the '90s.
Yeah,
Uh,
back in
I,
the
and I
night.
Yeah, and I know my mom. We got it on VHS somewhere.
Mhm.
We got it on VHS somewhere. So yes, sir. So we were there probably at the same time.
Yeah,
So
man.
if you remember a little boy on drums, that was me.
So back, Roosevelt would invite me to come in and play organ on the musical, and then even when Roosevelt left, Carolyn Ingram invited me over to play
Wow.
in one of the musicals, and I had her at Pilgrim Valley several times when I was there. But it's amazing how the Lord is just connecting everything, man, just making connections, man. And so the Lord bless you to blossom and become a great musician. And so not only do you do music, but you have a math business. You are a master tutor. Tell us about that. That's exciting in itself.
Well, man, listen, I take the gift of music, and I would even call the gift of being able to do math. Man, all glory to God, man. I'm just so humbled that He would even trust me with all of this. I started tutoring, so I'm degreed in math, and I started tutoring at least maybe 10 years ago. I would say 10 is to throw out a number. And initially, I was tutoring. I tried, the elementary and middle. As a matter of fact, there was a stretch during our Bible study nights at church, man. I was communicating with Bishop. We were just kind of talking about it because there was really a need, especially for math, man, with the standardized tests and things of that nature. And I remember him making an announcement. So I reached out to him and said, hey, I'd be open to assist with the tutoring at the church. If we can work something out. So he said, I tell you what, for a season, from Bible study nights, we would open up with praise and worship. And I would go upstairs and in the classroom and I would tutor, and I offered the services for free because I'm getting my feet wet with doing it. And I would have a room of maybe 10, 15 kids at times. And I would just kind of go through the room and look at and then did my best to try to help as much as possible. So that was a really cool experience. And then it kind of graduated to doing maybe sessions with two or three kids and then, one on one. But I figured that my niche was really the middle school age
Okay.
and above. So to this day, I tutor sixth grade and up in
Mm.
math. So that's algebra, geometry. trigonometry, pre-calculus, calculus, and it has really taken on over the years. And the thing that blesses me the most is just when I get the testimonials back, man. I've got people post, man, my child went from a 70 to a 93 with just 2 or 3 sessions, and man, they need to get this on the test and blah blah blah, and just to get all the positive testimonials back, that was, I'm like, okay, and it made me feel, great because I'm able to offer back what God has given me. And I would tell anybody, it's one thing to know the material, but it's a
Mhm.
totally different thing to have a gift and to be able to teach it and or
Understand it.
to tutor it, man. And so yeah, I've been doing that for roughly about 10 years now.
So let me ask you this. When we talked earlier before the show, you had mentioned that after you came back from college, you interned at Bell. Do you still work at Bell?
Yes, sir. I interned at Bell for my last 3 summers. My first internship was with Union Pacific right out of high school with the Inroads program.
Okay.
And then after that, I got on at Bell. And then once I graduated a year later, I started working back at Bell. And so I've been there ever since
Okay.
2003.
Okay. Okay. Now, what do you do at Bell?
So I'm now in finance.
Okay.
So yeah, it kind of started when I started in. It was the initial part of finance, and then I moved over into government property administration. So I'm back in finance now, man. So using those numbers.
Okay. So, man, your plate is full, man. So you serve as music director at your church. You work at Bell. You have your math tutoring business. And also, man, you are a R&B guru.
Wouldn't
tell, us,
say guru.
tell us about the R&B side.
Well, I'll tell you, kind of when it started as now, like I play with cover bands. I've done weddings, receptions, festivals, and all those type things. So when I was at KU
Mhm.
and remember the gospel choir that I played for, it grew. We had a band,
Mhm.
and so I was reminded by my good friend Howard, man, from went to KU at the time. I was reminded because I couldn't remember how it all began, but we did an event for Senator Bob Dole. Our
Mhm.
choir performed, and somewhere along that event, they started asking the band, "Hey, could you guys give us a little music here, give us a little music there?" So we were like, "Okay, cool." So we just started kind of playing like some smooth jazz or whatever it was, and then they had a lot of different events on campus, and
Mhm.
so people just started asking, "Hey, could you guys do this event? This is like a top 40s type deal or whatever." And so I'm like, yeah, we'll give it a shot. And so it was really cool being able to do those events with the band that we already had in place.
Mhm.
I remember one of those events, the chancellor actually asked me to come back and play at his house for some type of reception with just the piano, you
Okay.
know. And so that was a really cool deal. So developed a relationship there. And I was like,
Wow.
man, this is cool. And so we had an opportunity to play, a lot of the, maybe the R&B or the classics that were kind of out at the time, for major campus events.
Mhm.
And so, man, I was like, this, and we weren't getting paid anything and all that. So when I came home, man, connected with a few people, and so, man, started doing it. And I've been doing that for years. Playing a lot of different events and things of that nature, man. So been doing it for quite a while.
So let me ask you this, and so there's always the thing of in church, and we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, where they say, well, you can't serve two masters, you will either serve one or the other. This is my personal belief, and this is my spiritual belief, that we spend we use our gifts too much in the church, where the light is in the church. The church is the light. Everybody got a light.
Right.
And so the world needs the light, and so we never take. Well, I'm not gonna say never, but many times we don't take the light to the people. I think God can reach people through different ways, even through different genres of music. Tell us your experience and testimonies on that.
Well, man, one thing I can say is that music in totality is art. And I also believe that, man, just as with everything that you do, there's certain aspects of it that, if I see this, like, no, I'm not going to be doing this event. Or I know what kind of atmosphere that is. There's times it's like, I know what kind of atmosphere that is, but there's other times I know the kind of atmosphere that is, but this is an opportunity for my light, to shine. I never forget, man, we did a wedding reception with one of the bands that I played. Man, that was an older couple, man. I had to be in there, late 70s. They walked up to us. And I think we did some song by Earth, Wind & Fire. That's when, like, they were sitting at the front. They just sitting there just watching. And they came up to us and they said, it's something about y'all. It's something about y'all. Yeah, y'all save me. And so, yes, man, she said, it's all over you all. And it's just, I love this music. I'd rather see y'all sing it. Y'all do it in such a tasteful way. And you do it with such a spirit of excellence. To the point to where, man, if I'm doing it, and to me, anything that I do, at the end of the day, I do want to make sure that God's getting the glory out of it. And even if I'm playing an Earth, Wind & Fire song for a reception, because, man, hey, somebody got married, they want to party, they want to have a good time. So I'm honored to have, been chosen, because I'm not going to be up in there looking and you know what I'm saying? I'm going to come in there with my spirit, and I want to show, hey, we're doing this thing in excellence. Even when I communicate with you, when you come up and talk to me, I want you to feel something. I want you to detect or have the spirit of discernment. Say, man, there's something about you, and because you never know who you're going to meet, because everybody's not going to come to church.
Right. That's right.
You're not going to meet everybody, and so people need to experience that light. And so I'm with you on that, man. It's more to it than than just being inside those four walls. And I could only imagine. I will consider I'm bivocational. I had a day job, and so you should do this full time. Oh man, if I did this full time, I got bills I got to pay, and and once you lock yourself into, like you say, a genre of music, of which is an art. Man, I want to come home and cut my lights on too, and and so it's difficult to lock yourself into, especially when you have the different mindsets and personalities that you encounter doing what you do, So, it's like, to me, it's kind of like I work at Bell. It's not just church is not buying helicopters, So it's what I do, and sometimes music, man, sometimes it is a job. This is a job that I got to go take. So especially if you're doing it full time, man, I've had this conversation a lot, man, with musicians who do it, full time. It's a job. This is what they do. And so you still have an option to pick and choose what you're going to do.
What I think in the religious aspect of things, I think many times in religion we take things out of context, because even when Jesus walked the earth, they weren't doing stuff. There are instances of Jesus being at the temple, but they weren't. I mean, they were regular people that did regular things on a daily basis in the marketplace, in the houses, or wherever, and so they took the light outside. I mean, did they conform to the world? They didn't, but they took the light, to the world, so the world could see something different. so that the world might see God in what they did, if I can say that, And
Right.
so with music, when you guys go out and you're not playing the church song, but you're playing the other types of music, the R&B, the light jazz, uh, some of the light blues, and people are inspired. It's God's music. I mean, it is. People say, "Oh, that ain't God's music." Well, you know what? The devil ain't ever created anything. Especially when it comes to music. I mean, I believe that yes, there is some music that does not represent God. You know,
Right.
where it's taken totally out of context. But for the most part, music itself, the devil ain't got no music. He has intentions of using music the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? But when it
Right.
comes to music itself, it's the essence of God. And
Yeah.
so go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, and like I said, one of the things that blesses me a lot of times when I'm playing out is, like I mentioned earlier, man, is making sure that I'm doing it in a spirit of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times that's what encourages someone to come and talk to us.
Sure,
And so
sure.
now we've now began to have dialogue and conversation, and now that even opens up, a door to
Sure.
now even be more of effective witness. But it's just that spirit of excellence when you're doing it. It just just kind of opens up, man. And of course we know the power of music. Obviously, Lucifer himself, got all conceited and got kicked out of heaven and took a third of the angels with him. That,
Right, right.
it's that powerful, and that he took some folk with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, man, just and one thing I think about, man, is like when David played the harp. I don't know
Mhm.
what he played,
Right.
you know, uh, but he
Right.
played skillfully.
He played skillfully, right.
And we know that music is a universal language.
Sure.
He played skillfully, and what he played was able to soothe the spirit, a spirit, right?
Right, right.
So I try to always be conscientious of that,
Sure.
even no matter, where I'm playing is like, I want to make sure that I'm skillful, make sure I'm always learning and all those types of things, man. But there's intention to what it is that I do when I'm expressing my art.
Sure. Man, you know what? I applaud you guys for taking your light outside the church into the darkness, wherever that might be. Again, people are inspired, they're encouraged. Um, Michael McKay wrote a song years ago that says, "Jesus is the light that shineth in me." Not that I'm just so spiritual and I'm so into the word that I lit my own light. No, God put the light there, and so He shines through you guys as you minister. And so what do you tell, Brother Jermaine? What do you tell the young musician that's coming along and he wants his name and lights, and he wants the fame and the fortune? What do you tell the young musician that's coming along?
Be careful. Uh, especially, I see a lot. We see a lot, man. And I would even say for me personally, my desire is not to have my name in lights. My desire is not for the fame and fortune. As a matter of fact, scripture, let another man speak well of myself. That's not, my intention to do that. But if that is your intention, you might wanna be careful.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say to any young musician, um, man, integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your name clean. Honor
Mm-hmm.
your commitments. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be
Yeah.
somewhere.
Right.
If the time is to be here, then be here at that time.
Right.
If you can't make it, communicate it. These are just good life skills,
Right.
But be prepared. When you show up, if somebody calls you for something, and be prepared. Learn your music. Have your stuff together. And even just with the skill of music, it's one thing when you play something by yourself, and it's another thing when you're, even when you're playing with the band, because the more pieces you add, the less that you really have to do. I mean,
Right.
less is more.
Mhm.
Um, but man, I would just say be very intentional, understand, what it is to be a musician, a minstrel, especially, you know, if you allow me to say this, man, I heard Marcus Dawson say this once. Marcus Dawson, of course, is Bishop T.D. Jakes' organist. He said,
Mhm.
man, my job is to provide the canvas for Bishop to paint on.
Mhm.
So just even in the confines of church, that's
Mhm.
my job as a minstrel musician. I want to provide a canvas
Right.
for my pastor, whomever is up to bring the word. I need to provide that canvas for them to paint on. Let me help them, you know, toil and till the ground so that when they plant the seed, it's landing on fertile ground, not you can't plant a seed on stone. It is,
Right.
you know, but but and that's in that in that arena. But anything, man, that you just be prepared, man. Keep your name clean. Have integrity about yourself.
Right.
Be careful of what you say and who you say it to, especially in the world of music. Because things can catch back up with you. But yeah, I would just encourage you, man. Just understand your craft, and be open to learning. You know,
Right.
I I'm open to learn from anybody.
Right.
I do not know it all, man.
Right.
I A lot of musicians, when it comes to skill level, they can play all around me. And that's not my concern. I will say this.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
I like to say that yeah, there's people that can do it better than you,
Mhm.
but there's nobody that can do it like you.
Right. Right.
Sometimes people want what you have or what God gave you. They want you to do what you do. So
Right.
don't get caught up on who's better, man, and all this other kind of stuff. Or no. Be you, learn, and
That's
be
right.
comfortable doing what God has given you with.
Right. Right. Oh man, that's a great word. Great word, man. Great words of wisdom, man. Man, that is awesome. Man, brother Jermaine, this has been an incredible interview. I knew it would be. I mean, I just knew it would be, man. Again, I've known you a long time. You've always been a humble person, man. Just incredibly gifted, humble. Man, the Lord has his hands on you. He's working through you. Man, I want to do something right quick, and I forgot to do this over the past 2 weeks on this show. But a couple of weeks ago, man, we buried one of the pioneers, one of the great musicians that paved the way for a lot of musicians. Apostle Isaiah Thomas, man, he died, and there was very little mentioned about it. As a matter of fact, man, I heard about it after his funeral, man, and I would have tried to get there, man, because Isaiah Thomas, although I never took lessons from him or anything, worked with, I don't even think I ever actually worked with him, but man, he was one of the instructors. I know he taught, he was Avis Fisher's, one of her music teachers, and several others. He taught music to several musicians, and he
Wow.
was one of those true trailblazers, Isaiah Thomas, and he passed, and very little was said about it. Veronica said she took lessons from Isaiah. There's so many others,
Wow.
but I forgot to mention him. Wanted to give condolences to his family and to all that worked with him over the years. Yes, he passed, Veronica. As a matter of fact, Andrew and them did the services. But again, we want to give tribute to the late Isaiah Thomas, and also Carol Ann Hambrick. Carol Ann Hambrick, another musician and pioneer that passed away several weeks ago. Man, we've just had a lot going on, Brother Jermaine, and people that paved the way for us.
Yes,
The
sir.
Lord is calling them home. But listen, one more thing, and I'm going to get a closing thought from you. In the month of November, I got a message this past weekend that Fellowship Baptist Church in Fort Worth is going to honor Miss Frances Sauls, who's been there for over 50 years at Fellowship Baptist Church. And listen, man, they've asked me to play a part in that. And listen, Fort Worth, we need to come out and honor Sister Frances Sauls. She's been very faithful to Fellowship Baptist Church. Listen, man, Frances Sauls, if you ever sang in Fellowship in any of those choirs, we're going to be putting together a musical. I forgot what the date is. I know it's in November, but we're going to do a musical to tell Sister Frances Sauls, we appreciate you, we honor you, thank you for over 50 years of service at the church. If you ever sang with Richard Hawkins and the Israelites, if you sang with any of these choirs, we want you to be at Fellowship that night. We're going to do a musical and honor. I mean, you know what, Jermaine, man, I'm tired of us packing funerals out. I mean, we will pack a funeral out. I mean, sometimes I think it's crazy. Like, what are we doing? I
Yeah.
mean, these people are deceased now. They can't hear us, But
Right.
while they're living, we never tell them thank you. We never honor them. And so this is an opportunity to honor somebody that has given their life, to church music all these years, Sister Frances Saul. And so I'm going to keep it on your mind, Facebook family. So if you ever sang in any of the choirs at Fellowship with Pastor D. Evans and with Brother Richard Hawkins and the Israelites, man, back in the day, man, we want you guys to come out. We're going to honor Sister Frances Saul. But again, man, Jermaine, man, I appreciate you taking out your busy schedule. I mean, this past weekend, you were doing plays, you play. How many bands do you play with?
I'm not really currently playing with one per se. I'm more of a, if you need me, call me,
Okay.
type deal. And man, I've been able to foster some really great relationships with some of the bands that I've played with, man. Met some great musicians and things of that nature, man. So yeah, I'm just kind of, I guess you would say, contractor per se.
Oh,
Uh,
all right. But yeah, man, yeah, I know you were busy. You did a play this past weekend.
yes, sir. Well, we were over at Trinity Harvest Church yesterday with my good sister Lori Ann Bowers. Man, wrote a play called Skin Deep, and so we
Okay.
did that actually just on yesterday. So yeah. Today I had to take a little rest.
Okay. What do you have coming up?
Really nothing.
Oh,
uh, well,
you
I
got
will.
something, you just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I
Okay.
think especially when when the pandemic began last March, of course, everything slowed down tremendously.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, the math tutoring picked up. You
Okay.
know, because man, especially with the kids and going virtual and all that, man. So that was I was tutoring 4 nights a week, sometimes on the weekend, and so that's still going in full force,
So how
and
do
so
people find you for tutoring?
so you find me on Facebook, man. Most of the tutories I received is always in word of mouth. Um, so of course you can find me on Facebook, man. I live there, and just shoot me a message, and hopefully we can set something up. I will say, as of now, I'm like really booked,
Okay.
booked up, and I'm not able to do it as often because of working, of course, family man and working and church and things that nature. So I'm booked up right now, but every now and then I may get a cancellation. So when people contact me, sending messages or whatnot, I'll get back with them and uh, and try to get it going. But it's a blessing to be booked. Uh, doing that because it says I'm doing my job and I'm helping, and that's my whole intention, man. Just want to be able to help as much as I can. Who knows? One day it could be doing it full time, or I can help others. That may be down the road at some point in time, so I can figure that out.
All right, man. But listen, man, again, thank you, Brother Jermaine, man. You've just given of yourself tonight. I mean, just a great interview. Appreciate you doing it, man. A shout out to Bishop Reginald Jordan over at iTop, man, and the ministry over there, the great job that you guys are doing. Listen, y'all, join us next week on Pajama Praise. Sister Terry Swift Gadsden will be our special guest, man. Terry gonna cut up. She likes to cut up, man. But Terry's gonna tell her story, man. Terry's been around a long time. I think Terry in her 80s or 90s. She's been around a long time. She gonna get me for saying that. But Sister Terry Swift Gadsden is gonna be with us on next week. She's gonna tell her incredible story of how the Lord has used her over the years in various capacities with many organizations. And so y'all join us next week. And also listen, for the month of November that's coming up, man, we're going to have an incredible month coming up. Listen, I'm going to have on Monday nights, she says she's 63. Okay, whatever, Terry. But for the month of November, we're going to have pastors on each Monday night. And man, they're going to be giving a word of thanks, a word of praise to God, some testimonies. The first Monday night, man, we're going to have Pastor Craig Pullum, man, of Shiloh Baptist Church, man. One of the best kept secrets, man, in Fort Worth, man. Just a phenomenal preacher. I mean, handles the word diligently. He's going to be with us. And then the second week, man, Pastor Lewis Rosenthal, man, First Baptist Church in McKinney, man, that's my buddy. We go at it, Jermaine, every Sunday. He's a Saints fan, and I'm diehard Cowboys, man.
Yeah, I'm home team too.
Every weekend we go at it, man. But he's gonna be sharing, man, his testimony, some of the things they're doing at First Baptist McKinney. And man, I've got some other friends that will be joining us in November. And so, man, y'all hang with us with Pajama Praise. Listen, y'all are the ones that make this program great. Your support of it. You coming on with us every night, every Monday night. And so again, thank you, Brother Jermaine Marshall. Listen, man, you got any shout outs you want to do before we sign off?
Well, of course, I got a shout out by family, my wife who's watching in the other room. My wife and my two kids, Anaya and Samuel, and hey, my church family. I'm sure if they're still up. And man, my blood family, the Marshall family, the Brooks family, man.
So who is Cheryl Renee Tucker?
That's my mother-in-law. That's Sean's mama.
All right. Thank you so much, Sister Cheryl Renee Tucker, for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. But listen, man, again, thank you, man. We're gonna sign off. Listen, man, y'all be safe out there. I say this every week. If you have not gotten your COVID shots or shot, go and get it. Go and get it, man. COVID is still real and it's still taking people out. But listen, man, go and get your shots. Protect yourself. If you're not going to protect yourself, protect your family. How about that? Go and get your shots. Wear a mask out in public. Wash your hands. And y'all just stay safe. Listen, man. May the peace of God be with you. Y'all be safe out there. Listen, good night. Enjoy it, you, Brother Jermaine.
That's it, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, man, just for
Sure.
doing this, man, and you being encouraged. This is an awesome thing that you have going on. So you got my total support.
All right. God bless you. Good night, Facebook family.